What is happening in there? J Gamer Dude here, and Sony's going to be removing shovelware and easy platinum games from the PlayStation Store. So, being a trophy hunter myself, I can kind of understand how and why this is happening, but it's less in relation to easy platinum games and more so shovelware, which I think is probably one of the main things I don't think a lot of people talk about, because what they've described, or at least what Sony has mentioned in terms of it being shovelware, is, and I'll just bring up the actual letter itself. Here we go. Partner requirements and allowances. When SIE, Sony Entertainment, Interactive Entertainment, yeah, there we go, reviews the content submitted to PlayStation Store, products that have the following characteristics are identified as spam or repetitive content. Keeping in mind, I don't think that there is any mention of trophies in this, but we'll talk about that shortly. Products whose functionality and or assets are copied or are not meaningfully different from products already published on PlayStation Store, irrespective of the publisher of record. What? Of the publisher of record. Huh. Multiple concepts and product variants published by individual partners that have duplicative functionality or experiences, differentiated only by minor variants of functionality or assets. Where possible, partners should consider aggregating small, similar content experience into a single product using in-game commerce to expand or extend the experience. As an example, supplying different trophies for each product is not enough to differentiate content. So there is a mention of trophies, it's just not in the way that it's in relation to easy trophies necessarily. So like as a random example, I brought up the jumping taco. So I use PSN profiles personally for looking at my, tracking my trophies and also looking at trophy guides and things like that. That's usually, personally for me, the best place to go, but you could go to places like Exophase, you could possibly go to True Trophies, there are other sites out there, but this is the one that I go to, and it's the easiest one to give a solid idea of what you're looking at. So the jumping taco, these jumping games are pretty much like the jumping X, whatever it is usually just press X, the number of times required for each trophy. So we've got 25, 50, 75, 125. It literally takes no effort to just keep constantly pressing a single button. Hey Dave, 500 times. Like, that's extremely easy, but you might think pressing a single button 500 times seems like a lot. Originally, we had a game called, and I'll bring it up here. It was called... My Name is Mayo. Now, My Name is Mayo has actually genuinely gotten better with 2 and 3 especially. But the thing about My Name is Mayo is that there's actually the last trophy you unlock in My Name is Mayo is hit the Mayo at least 10,000 times, if I remember right. Should be around here. Hit 10,000 times. So it doesn't matter what you hit, as long whatever outfit the Mayo is wearing, and then each of these are just the Mayo wearing different outfits, which you do need to change. This takes at least 50, not 50, it takes about 30 minutes to be completely honest, and is not as much of a shameful platinum as the jumping taco is, where you're just jumping 500 times. But not only you're like pressing a single button 500 times rather, but on top of that, what My Name is Mayo didn't do, and what these jumping games are doing, is releasing them in different regions and giving them different... So releasing them in different regions, and each region having its own trophy list. So games that release in different regions can have different trophy lists. And the reason for this is absolutely due to there not being particular content being cut out. So Chinese versions of games generally tend to have their own region. The same can be said for the Korean version of games. Cut content ultimately becomes its own trophy list. So like say, Wolfenstein is an excellent example. the German version of that game will always have a separate trophy list because of the whole Nazi, I suppose I guess you could say it definitely wasn't something you could not see coming. I hate myself in that joke. Holy crap. Well, I'll keep that in. But yeah, and so differentiating the lists for each of the regions, and one thing that all trophy hunters by now should know, or at least if they've been around the space long enough, is that PS4, PS3, and PS Vita games all had the sort of rectangular shape in terms of like when it comes to looking at your trophy list, but instead the PS5 is one by one. So now PS3, PS4, and PS Vita games were able to share a single trophy list across all of the platforms. So you could play the PS3 game, earn a few trophies, play the game on the PS4, and earn some different trophies, but they would all add to the same list of trophies. It would sync together like that. PS5 games absolutely will not share because of just the pure design of it being a square as opposed to a rectangle, which is interesting to know. So if you ever get a PS4 game and it comes with a PS5 version, know that you can get 2 trophy lists out of it by playing both the PS4 and PS5 versions respectively. But the jumping games aren't necessarily that bad because there are games like the jumping chocolate Santa, which is actually yet to release, but there's a turbo version, so you could double this entire list with the jumping taco turbo for PS4 in the Asian region, the jumping taco turbo PS5 for the Japanese region, the PS4 jumping taco turbo for Japanese again. You kind of get the idea. So Asian region, Japanese, North America, Europe. Like it gets ridiculous to a point. And the jumping games aren't the only ones. There's also there are other games that are on this list. Like the games. I wonder if there's more under here. It should give us a good list. Nope, nothing comes up. Stuff like, yeah, here we go. Jumping Nuggets Turbo is a good example. Here we go. How many jumping... Okay, so this is only for the Jumping Nuggets Turbo. This isn't necessarily for just the Jumping Nuggets as well. So there is definitely a list of the Jumping Nuggets. So as a trophy hunter, you could get a lot of platinum trophies this way very easily and level up. I like the idea that they're removing these. At least I would very much love it if they remove these games, because the sanctity of trophy hunting is very much lost in this case because of all of this. Because I remember a time when the hardest trophy, like the easiest trophies to get that were shameful platinum trophies to have, was stuff like Hannah Montana. Like, who remembers the Hannah Montana game? That took at least 2 hours, or maybe an hour or two to earn the platinum trophy. The easy games were at least somewhere between 2 to 4 hours. Not 5 minutes, not 30 seconds. Red Alika Games, who publish a lot of very easy platinum games, are at the very least good games. Like, at least they're good. I know that comes off a little bit weird. They're at the very least good games, and that much is cool. But, like, earning a platinum trophy in 5 minutes just doesn't really mean anything anymore. If I said that I got the platinum trophy for Final Fantasy XIV on the PS3, PS4 list, that would be an incredible thing, because that takes at least a couple of 100 hours. Well, not necessarily. It took me that long only because I was also aiming for the trophies on the PS5, which take way, way longer. But at the same time, when I did the platinum for White Knight Chronicles completely solo, that took me 700 hours. I don't believe that a lot of people would look at this and be like, this is a respectable thing to do as a trophy hunter. I think that that's just completely lost now at this point. And so I can't imagine spam games being good for anyone's profile. And if that's like the only platinums you've got, then I mean, you do you, but like, It's just a bit of a bother. It's not really necessarily that bad. Um, but also they make a good amount of money out of it. I mean, as if quality control wasn't down enough when we had games like Life of Black Tiger and things like that. Yes, technically this game is better, but if it's just way too many of them on the store, and there's like I think 200 or so games by the same developer, which is why I'm surprised when I went under the list it didn't actually show anything. But yeah, and also there are games that don't even have platinum trophies that would very much deserve it, like the PS4, PS3 trophy lists for Resident Evil 4 don't actually have platinum trophies, but they absolutely deserve it. Whereas, like, at least with visual novels, most people generally just skip through them and just earn the trophies. But for some of us, like myself, who actually sit down and actually read everything, that I guess trophies are a bit of an indictment in that respect as well. Now, for me, who personally enjoys trophy hunting, I do very much enjoy those games that I play. But sometimes, if I'm playing a game I don't like, I'll begrudgingly get myself through to the platinum to show that I have played it to the extent that I feel like a significant majority would not, and could probably then be able to make a more accurate review, description, representation of a game that I'm playing, because at least you've kind of done everything that was asked of you, even if it isn't necessarily everything the game has to offer. You could at least still be able to make a decent you can have a decent TED talk about a particular game because you've done a decent amount of it. Now, I've kind of lost the complete thread of this conversation, but I'm happy that they're getting rid of these spam games. Well, at least there's no mention of them getting rid of old ones, but they're definitely looking to implement this moving forward, which I'm at the very least kind of happy about. And of course, partners could get significantly worse. Partners can get punished at the very least for constantly spamming this out. So hopefully good stuff comes of this. Again, I don't think there's any way of making the trophy race a good one by any means, because that's not something that everyone cares about. It's just a minority, and those of us that do care about it, we just use websites like PSN Profiles and Exophase and True Trophies and PlayStation Trophies. And on the Xbox side, it's like, Xbox 360 achievement or Xbox achievement, true achievements instead of true trophies, and stuff like that. So, yeah. And Exophase, I think, does all of them, really. Like Steam achievements, Xbox achievements, and trophies. But anyway, that's just my sort of input as a trophy hunter on this discussion. Hopefully, things improve and get better. And hopefully, I gave a bit more of an insight into trophy hunting for those who aren't really that into it, and I might actually do a video on explaining what trophies are, what points are, how they're allocated to trophies, trophy lists, different types of trophies in some point in the future. So I guess look forward to that a bit, but other than that, I'll see you guys next time.